So right before the podcast started, Shira said to me, well, is there anything off limits? And I said, it's like, you don't know me. Nothing is on. Not the grittier, the grittier, the better. The dirtier the truth, the better. That's my love language. Authentic truth. Hi, Shira.
Hi, Molly.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's truly an honor. I am so grateful.
The feeling is mutual. Getting to sit and bear witness to people's truth is just such a privilege. Anyway, so I'm so happy to see you. Welcome to What You're Craving.
Thank you.
Let's talk about it. So you're broken up with sugar.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me the whole story. Like, how'd you get there?
I got there. Okay. So in 2018, I was on Weight Watchers for probably the 15th time.
Let's move back. Like, how did this whole, let's start with the real dysfunction of your relation. Like, how long have you been in an unhealthy, what would you call it? What would you call, like, before now, your relationship with food?
Dysfunctional. It was obsessive. Like, it consumed all my thoughts a lot of the time. It dates back to when I was a little girl. I want to say about 7 or 8. Because at the time I was sharing a room with my little brother, so I was still young, and we had these bunk beds in my room. And I remember going to my dad and saying, because my little brother used to fight me for the bottom bunk. So I went to my dad and I said, my feet really hurt when I walk up to the top bunk bed. Can you please tell my brother to switch with me? And he said, well, maybe if you lose some weight, your feet won't hurt when you climb up to the bunk bed. So that's
how did you hear that? Yeah. How did you experience that?
I mean, you just shut down and shame of a little girl, not, I wouldn't even know how to process that.
Yeah.
You just feel shame because you go to someone who you look up to and you want for help and an answer and a solution, and they shame you.
Yeah. We're going to pause for a second. I want you to make sure that you say I.
Right.
Okay. It's really hard though.
Mm-hmm.
Just FYI. So I felt really ashamed, but don't tell the story again, and cry as much as you need to. It's really beautiful. It's really powerful. Yeah. So you experience it as shame, like something's wrong with me.
I mean, I just felt like I was struggling and I was looking for solutions at such a young age, and to be hit with that was like, where do you go from there?
Yeah. It's so powerful how quickly our stories can be rewritten for us I remember I had a horse trainer, and she would say to me when I was like 11, and she'd say, Molly, people like you and me need to work twice as hard to be half as good. And she was talking about my weight exclusively. I mean, and it's just so interesting how, for me, that infused the story to no end. And it sounds like that for you too. So that was 7. So at 7, the lenses start to be like, you're bad, you're wrong.
Yeah. And I just felt it throughout. I mean, going to restaurants and ordering, and if I didn't order something that was healthy or along the lines of what was thought I should be eating, I would get a look until I changed my order.
Wow.
Or like even at the breakfast table, I'd watch my older brothers have like a stack of pancakes, and I was eating my grape nuts. I don't know if grape nuts were just plain high fiber cereal.
Yeah, I could eat grape nuts like a horse in this moment, though. Could you?
Yeah.
cereal's like a pretty big drug of choice for me. But yes, I understand. Molly wasn't even a sugar cereal, but yes, I understand.
Yeah. So I was like restricted back then to grape nuts and not the Frosted Flakes.
Right. Oh, makes me want to give you some Frosted Flakes, except for I know you don't eat sugar.
Thank you. I'll pass.
So when did you start your first diet? Like when did that happen?
I'd say in middle school. I remember the cabbage soup diet, being on that and eating only that.
Sure. Who put you on that? Did you put yourself on that, or did someone?
I just watched my parents be on it, and that's what I assumed I should do because I'm being told or I felt this way, that I needed to make a change, that there was a problem with me. and it was my weight. So what else is a young girl gonna do but do what everyone else is doing and like jump on the bandwagon of dieting. There was
Wow.
no talks. We didn't talk in my household about how are you feeling, what is going on.
Sounds like
Um,
that's stuff you understand today, like you really
yes.
needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so quick to like stop my children now. If I see something, and I have to catch myself all the time, and I say, are you okay? How are you feeling? And this is only something I'm learning 38 years later because I want to break the cycle.
Yeah. That's beautiful. So middle school, we're 12 years old. 12 years old, you're on cabbage soup diet. You're 38 right now.
Mhm.
Run us through, and you really started to find solution, what, about a year ago?
A year ago, October 5th.
So run us through 12 to 37. Tell us all about it. What was your relationship? What was it all like? What was the relationship with food and
Oh
yourself
my
like?
God. On and off dieting. I've done everything, the 500 calorie restriction, the B12 shots, Weight Watchers numerous times, just off and on my whole life. The shame, I remember, growing up, I finally got a gas card and I was so excited to go to the gas station to purchase snacks because we didn't, we were restricted in my household from what we got. So I would go and I would binge on snacks and
Yeah.
in my car and
Yeah.
in private.
Oh my gosh. Cause it was like, you were like finally free. You could
Yeah.
just get what you wanted.
Yeah. Or even going to friends' houses, the first thing I would do was open their pantry and be like, ah,
Right.
oh my God, this is food. This is snacks.
Freihofer's chocolate chip cookies. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'd be like, guys, like, why don't you want to eat this? And they're like,
Right. It's so interesting, isn't it?
yeah. I'm like, can we eat now?
Yeah. Can we just have a play date where we eat exclusively?
Please. Yeah. Yeah, but also it was also shameful because I like even at an event where there was a buffet table, I wouldn't go to the buffet. I wouldn't go because I was so shamed and embarrassed if someone were to see me there because I was carrying the weight. Because you can't hide the weight. It's not like any other addiction where you can hide. You can't hide that weight. So I would be embarrassed to be at a buffet because I would be scared of their Shira eating again. But in reality, I wasn't eating until I got home.
Right.
When I was then making up for all the eating I wasn't doing.
Right. Right.
And
So
I
it was
binged.
really like an isolated. It was like you and your shame and your
Yeah.
food
Yeah. And I
after
couldn't
you.
even be in the moment and present to enjoy the event because I was so paranoid about what are people thinking of me? What are they looking at me? Do I look okay? I can't be seen eating because then I don't want them to think that I'm eating all the time. And this is how I got here.
That messaging. So you really experienced the world. Like everybody had this assumption about you that you were just what? What was your assumption about the world?
They're like, all I do is eat. And that I overeat and that I can never, that I even, the addiction is so sad that because even to this day, it's like, I'm never going to get there. I'm always waiting for, as you say, like the other shoe to drop because I'm scared that, like in 2018, when I released a lot of weight from Weight Watchers, I was feeling great. And then 2019 hit and something in my family happened and it slowly crept back. And then the pandemic hit and it's you carry the shame of, oh, now people are going to look at her, look at me and say, oh, there she goes again. She gained it all back. It didn't work.
Yeah.
So
I think that is so powerful to so many of us, which is the only thing worse than than having the shame of this overweight is having it off and thinking and having it creep back on and it being like, oh my God, it's starting again. Like, oh my God, here it goes again. That shame cycle. And it's like so trapped. And I would imagine like, I don't know, this is my experience at least. Like, it's like, okay, well, I just did Weight Watchers and I'm gaining all this weight back. Like, what am I supposed to do now? It's so powerless, isn't it?
It was the bottom of the barrel for me.
Yeah. So it was just a lot of, so from 12 to 30. So it sounds like you did have some times of success, at least with weight, right? But was there ever any emotional or spiritual piece in any of that?
None.
What did it feel like?
Just alone. I mean, I did, Weight Watchers did have some groups, but there was nothing every day. There was nothing consecutive. There was nothing that I was digging deep down in myself to connect the dots. And I've struggled with anxiety and depression since I was a senior in high school. And I've been in therapy since I was a senior in high school, but I've never connected the dots and brought it back to food and why I was using the food.
Well, let's get to that headline.
Yeah.
Let's get to that headline. So take us, okay. So we're going to move into solution right now, right? So it's 2018. You're like, I'm rocking, I'm rolling. So talk us through 2018 to like a little bit, 2018 to today.
So 2018, I'm feeling amazing. I'm looking great, but on the inside, nothing's changed. And
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by like nothing's changed?
Like my mind frame around food. I was doing great on Weight Watchers, but I was also having 4 desserts because I was working the system to plan my points so that I could have 4 desserts. I was eating.
So like not sustainable is what we're saying.
Yeah. I was eating just to eat because I had the points. I'm going to use them,
But I actually am curious about this because to be honest, like that sounds like pretty dreamy to me. Like I'm actually like thinking right now, like, well, maybe I should go on Weight Watchers because then I can have 4 desserts for my life. Like how did that break down? I'm seriously, because I think that is the sell and the seduction of diets like that. I'm just my diet mind is like, wait, should I stop the podcast right now and go to Weight Watchers and figure out how I can have, I'm not even joking. I wish I was kidding right now. I'm just a human with all of you. But like, how did that break down? Like if you were nailing it, you were losing all this weight, you're feeling kind of good in your body, you were eating dessert all the time. Like what happened?
Yeah. I mean, I was eating also pretty clean, but I was still eating sugar. And when you have certain foods in your system, I feel that I craved it more. So I'm doing this, I'm feeling great. And then I start to feel like, oh, well, I can have a little more of this. I'm craving a little more of this. So then a little more becomes a little more. And then especially
so 4 desserts. Yeah. So 4 desserts became 4 1/4 desserts became 5 desserts became.
Yes.
And all of a sudden you were just.
Yeah. And then when life gets lifey, like it did in 2019, slowly everything crept back on. Can
you talk me through it? Like what happened?
I just stopped, 22 chocolate chips that I was measuring out because I was allowed points wise became, oh, well, I don't need to, I think that's 22. I'm guessing that looks like the 22 that I was doing for so long. Let's just put them on. Or the graham cracker. They're crumpled. Let's just put all these graham crackers on,
That makes a lot of sense.
So, and then when life got lifey, I had no tools. So I knew at the end of 2019 that I was at the bottom, like I was not functioning.
Yeah. Unpack that for me. Like I want to feel it with you. What was it? What was the bottom? You know what they say? You know why? Because they say if you can't remember your bottom, it's not your bottom.
I was just had trouble getting out of bed. I had trouble being a good mom, a good wife, because I had no energy. I was irritable all the time. I was getting upset with my kids because I was so miserable. I was so upset inside and struggling that how could I function for anybody else if I couldn't even be there for myself?
Wow.
I was getting up and going to work, but other than that, I wasn't doing anything else. I didn't want to be around friends. I wasn't a good friend because of all the thoughts that were just going on in my head, the self-hate.
What does it sound like?
Oh my God, no one wants to hang out with you. no one wants to be around you. They're not calling you because they're, they just don't want to be around you. You're a negative person. I just felt like I would come up with all these stories in my head, all these narratives, and
I get it. That's when I always say, like, my life felt like the size of a postage stamp. It was just so dark, it's just so dark. I feel that. So then what happened? I mean, yeah, that's terrible. Then what happened?
So I had reached out I found a therapist here. I just knew I had some sort of eating issue. I found a local therapist, and she mentioned sugar, flour, grain. We worked together for a little bit, and then the pandemic hit. So we had to go to Zoom. And I felt like all we talked about on Zoom was COVID. So I'm very open about my mental health and my issues. And I had been confiding for a while in one of my coworkers. And she came to me one day and was like, Shira, this person I just listened to on a podcast sounds exactly like what you tell me. And I was like, no way. And she's like, I'm telling you, you have to listen to this podcast. So one of the podcasts that you were on, I listened to like the minute I got home, and I was floored. I could not believe how my story, I was like, that's me. Like your story, it just resonated with me. And I felt like a peace come over me that like, oh my God. And it wasn't, I don't know, it's not just about the book. Also, there's so much more to it.
So you went, and then, so effectively heard what I said on the podcast. You were like, it me. And then what'd you do? You went and like bought Breaking Up with Sugar and just like.
I bought the book, but I couldn't wait. So while I was waiting for the book, I listened to the audiobook. Then when I listened to the audiobook and then I got my book, I read the book so I could highlight and like,
Okay, I need to pause. Okay, here's my big question. I asked this to almost every single person, Breaking Up with Sugar person on the show. I do not understand. Like, you have been on a diet from when you were 11 to when you're 38. And somehow with like grace and openness, because we hadn't met or anything like that, right? Like, you're like, I'm going to try again. Right. Because that's really the story. Because I've been an addiction therapist my whole life. And the only thing I know to be true is like, you never actually know the time that works, which is why we never, ever, ever give up. I'm just shocked and fascinated that we never give up. Like, what in the world made you think like, oh, I'll try this with such a vengeance, Shira? I mean, listen to the story. Like, and then I got talk about fighting for your life, but like, you were so miserable. I'm just so confused.
Yeah.
What happened?
I just connected with you, and I just felt like if I don't do this for myself, there might not be a me, because it was so bad.
I'm so glad you chose that. I'm so glad you chose that. So then what happened? Because I love this. I know your story pretty well. Like, here's why I really wanted to have Shira on the show. Because it doesn't get good yet. Right? So it's like, you're like, with a vengeance. And then what happens?
So I started doing Breaking Up with Sugar, and I was doing I gave up sugar and flour, and I was reading the book. And
by the way, I'm so glad you didn't give up grain. Like,
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So I started, following the book and just reading the book. And I did join the Facebook group, but after a certain amount of months go by, I just felt like, okay, I want to do this, but I need more. So I reached out to you on Instagram, and I messaged you, and I said, please do therapy with me. I will pay whatever it takes. I need this. I need to do this. Please help me. And I mean, the rest is history. You connected me with my therapist. I joined a group therapy. And then I, became more active in the Facebook group, but then I kind of pulled away. I felt in the beginning with the Facebook group, I was very intimidated because I would see on there like sugar-free and flour-free 365 days. So in my mind, I'm thinking, how are these people so perfect that
Mm,
they're going 365 days consecutive with no sugar, no flour? And it didn't even, because my like addiction mind was, it didn't even occur to me that like you say, we're perfectly imperfect.
right.
That we, I can make a mistake, or I can have something, but that doesn't mean that I start counting over again and start the whole process over. I
Mhm,
come up with a plan to correct it, and I keep moving forward because that's
mhm.
life.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not been a perfect path. Where have you struggled? Like, talk me through, so yes, I have to say, desperate people are the best, and those who fight for their life, usually get well. And it's so hard, I think, to come back into the ring. I think I still don't quite understand. I think it's beautiful that when I think about the why, that big why, like your why is so powerful, right? You're like, well, I need to be a mother and I need to be a wife and I want to be alive. I mean, that's what you're saying. And so
Mhm.
that kind of fire is not to be messed with. Don't ever forget you have that inside of you. And if you're listening, don't forget you have it inside of you. Go
Yeah.
spark that up if you're struggling, right?
Mhm.
But, when they say, if you want to know why you're eating too much sugar, stop eating sugar. If you want to know why you're eating too much volume, stop eating volume. Like, talk
Mhm.
me through some of that, because I know, I'm privileged enough to be in a group with you, and I know like it's real for you. So talk us through real life recovery. Like, what do you struggle with now?
Now I struggle, I've been struggling with the volume all along, the sugar and the flour after the detox, which was intense. I've struggled with the volume. The measuring of it all
Mhm,
was hard for me to make that commitment.
mhm.
But I felt like I spent these like last 7 months on the sugar and the flour and working from the inside out and really delving deep into the feelings. I
Ooh,
wasn't.
I need to unpack that this minute. Like, stop the presses. Can you talk us
Mhm.
through this process? Yes. So you're inside out. So start there. Like, what does that even mean? I had to do this from the inside out. Talk me through that.
Well, I wanted to know why I was using food as a crutch for everything.
Mhm.
I would come home from work after working a 12-hour shift. I get home at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night and have a full course dinner.
After you'd already
Or
eaten all your meals?
after I had eaten my
Oh,
meals, I'd
okay.
have another
Like an
dinner.
ad, like so you had a whole day's food
Bonus,
and then you came home. It's like a binge.
a binge.
Yes.
Yeah.
You come home
And
from
I
work
would
and
just,
you'd binge.
I'd feel like I needed this, like I needed to eat it. And a lot of times in my history, a binge for me was I would pick out like two snacks. I'd be eating the snacks and I'd already be thinking about the next snack. And until I ate that snack, my anxiety couldn't calm.
Yeah. That's a compulsion. That's a part of
Mhm.
addiction.
Yes. So I wanted to understand why I was using food as a crutch. I was numbing myself. On my days off from work, I would eat and I would literally need to take a nap because I would crash from the sugar.
Yeah.
So I was in my bed till I had to pick up my kids for carpool.
Sure. What did you get to? What'd you figure out?
I mean, life is so big and you can fill it with so much goodness.
But I mean, when you say I had to figure it out, like, what did you figure out on the inside? Like, why were you doing that? How did you stop doing that? Like, that's amazing. So
Right.
wait, safe to say when you come home from your 12-hour shift now, you don't eat another meal.
No.
So how'd you do that? Because you're saying I had to understand, like, what did you get? Like, what happened?
So I started, with the 3 meals and one snack and really talking to myself and digging deep in myself to understand why I was turning to the food and
Why were you
pausing.
turning to the food?
I was lonely. I was anxious. I was tired coming home from work. I was just lonely. It's late at night.
Mm,
And a part of me just wanted to be comforted because of, what I've seen that previous day.
right. You're a nurse. Right.
Everything that's going on in the world. I just felt like I would even, as I'm eating, say, why am I eating this?
Mm,
You know?
yeah. I'm sure. I mean, I want people listening really get granular to understand. Because I think you're telling my story. Like literally, I did a night shift work and I would go to the convenience store after and I'd pick up 2 bagels and cream cheese, a bathing of cheese. Like I had a whole thing, a whole ritual. I'd go home, I'd eat it. It was 12 o'clock at night, 1 a.m. I'd pass out with the food. I mean, this is everybody's story, but most people don't stop that behavior. And I want to know, like, how did you stop it?
I just, the therapy and the support that I got and the insight to my feelings and just feeling the feelings, letting the feelings out, feeling them, using a lot of the tools that
So what tools do you love? Talk me through that.
So now I'm obsessed with the Facebook group that you have.
Well, so connection. So you started to get connected.
Yes, I'm so connected.
You are?
Oh yeah. I'm every part, like throughout my day, I start in the morning connected and now I am connected.
So like what? Like how do you connect?
So I wake up in the morning and I meditate even for a couple minutes. That's all that I can do. And
why do you do that?
Just the breath, what you're teaching me is everything. I do still, because of breaking up with sugar, I've been off my medications since July, which is huge.
It is huge.
But I can use my breath to now like center me and start the day. Wow. And it's always with me. So I have it at work. I have it while I'm driving. So if I feel myself tense up, I just use my breath.
Wait, is there any part of you that's like telling the story, being like, I cannot believe this is me?
Yeah. I mean, the night before you asked me, I literally said to my mom, one of my goals in my life is to be on Molly's podcast. And then
Shira, we got to get you bigger goals, babe. Let me tell you something right now. I've got to level up like 15 levels, but hey, there you go. Yeah. Check that off the list. Yeah. So you wake up and you meditate. Can you believe that? I mean, there's just every time, like, listen, I'm a huge meditator, but even like when I'm meditating, sometimes I think to myself, like, I can't believe this is who I am, but it's so true. Like you got to get the plug into a different plug in the morning.
You have to connect. I mean, for so long, I've learned about tools and all these tools. And I would be like, okay, you read about them, you hear about them. And I'm like, okay.
Yes.
I've hated journaling for 38 years.
Me too. And now I do it every morning.
Yeah. And I say like, I try to like my friend that now that I'm actually doing these tools and filling my life with all of this, it's like, who am I?
I love this, right? Because you're like, right. Like I've sat in plenty of Weight Watchers meetings where they're like, write down your feelings. And I'm like, you don't understand how bad my pain is. You can go fluff yourself, but like, so it's funny because that's what I learned in being a DBT therapist. Like, they're just like, well, if you never use skills, you can't really get well. So you wake up in the morning, you plug in first to sort of the universe. And then how do you connect?
I have a power circle, which is everything. I
love a power circle.
Everything. It's an amazing group of women that I text my gratitude list to every morning. And then we all text each other a gratitude list. And then the power circle is also there there have been many a times on the weekend, I've had a panic attack recently and I was walking around my house in circles and I reached out, I texted the group and I said, I'm struggling. Within 3 to 5 minutes, I had a text message or someone calling me. Wow. That brought me down and was able to like talk it out. And I moved on with my day. Whereas before I would have been consuming everything in my pantry.
Oh my God, knee deep. It's so amazing though, and I don't know. I think you're so amazing, but like the bravest thing we ever say is help, right? So there is something to putting it out there. I mean, I think so many people reject saying that because they don't think it's going to help or they don't think they're worth it. Like, how did you overcome those ideas?
I think I just like put my hands in the air and I was like, let's see what this is all about.
So you just tried it on its own terms.
Tried it out. Like anything I can do, I will do. Your Intensati, the Facebook group, the gratitude list, my journaling. I will turn to the tools because the tools are working and building my life into what I never thought that I would come home from work, have a cup of tea, and do a facial every single night, because that's the self-care that I need for myself.
Yeah. And your skin looks great. I mean,
Thank
on
you.
top of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing. We can change our lives. It's just that, this learned helplessness in diet drama and trauma, and that chronic failure creates a belief that we can't. I actually love your story, because to me it's like, well, I was just at the bottom, so I thought, why not just try the whole thing?
Yeah,
And
literally
here
had
we are.
nothing to gain.
What did you come to this transformation for? And what did you get? You know what I mean? Like, is it different? Did you come for one thing and get another? Did you come for one thing and get that thing? Like,
I mean, I think if I'm going to be honest with myself, like,
yeah, well,
yes,
that's the love language of what you're craving is honesty. So let's get to it.
at the end of the day, like, I want to lose weight.
Mhm.
I want to release the weight. But what I've gained is so much more. Yes, I'm releasing weight, and yes, it's been a slow process, but for the first time in 38 years, I am so okay with the fact that I haven't lost what I wanted to lose because of how much I've gained.
Mm.
I'm doing it the right way. I'm doing it the way that's going to last for a long time, forever. This is my life. This is my life plan. Someone once asked me, like, how long are you doing this life plan? And I said, does that make sense? You just asked?
You're like, for my life.
For my life, like this, and I've just gained so much. On my smallest day, I would not trade.
Yeah, well,
On my smallest day, and my smallest size, I would not trade being that small for what I've gained internally for my body now. And, eventually it'll happen. But for right now, like,
quick question, because listen, it is happening, right? Are you releasing weight? It's not happening. It's just not happening at like the speed in which diet culture has told you, like, you should lose 150 pounds this year.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Just
yeah.
for the audience. For the audience that's very trapped in diet culture.
No, I'm releasing, and it's just taking time, because that hasn't been my focus. I haven't been about the number. I haven't been about the scale, because that's not what it is for me anymore.
And I promise you this, as your coach, if you made it about the scale, like, what do you think would happen if you were like, it's not happening? Like, what do you think would happen if tomorrow morning or on the day that you check in on the scale, if you're like, it's not enough, I can't believe I didn't lose it. I can't believe I didn't release as much weight as I wanted to. Like, what do you think would happen?
I'd eat.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the great bind, ain't it? You're just like, hey, I'm grateful for my life.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to share with someone who is struggling? Oh, wait, I have one more question before we get to that question. Okay, so you sit and you say, this is my life plan. This is my life plan. But I mean, forever is a really long time. How do you manage that?
I don't think about forever.
Okay.
Like, I know every day that I wake up, and I don't say, like, I don't eat sugar and flour. I say I choose not to eat sugar and flour, because that's the conscious choice I make every day. Mm-hmm. I can have a cookie if I want to, but I choose not to have a cookie, not to have sugar, not to have flour. I choose now to measure everything I eat, to the point where I got measuring cups and spoons that were shaped like a heart.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with this.
Because I wanted to remind myself that you're measuring because you love yourself and you want to give your body exactly what it needs.
Yeah. Question about this while we're here. Intuitive eating would have its hair on fire listening to you saying that you measure your food. It would be like, but what if you want more? What if you're into it? Look, what do you think about that? You did intuitive eating, right?
Did I do it?
Yeah.
No.
My body never tried it? No. Did you ever try it?
No, because I couldn't.
Oh, okay. You just like knew it was not for you.
I mean, I couldn't tell my body to stop, because I was the thoughts of like, I couldn't stop until I ate the food. That's when I would stop. Like,
yeah. So why do you weigh and measure?
The accountability of like knowing that my body is getting everything it needs. Mm. I choose to have 3 meals and 1 snack a day. I choose that because it honestly takes away all the nerves and the anxiety of, did I eat too much? Did I eat too little? Like, I know going into the day when I go to work, I have my 3 meals, my 1 snack, and I'm good for the day.
Yeah.
And my
And then you can
body
go be
is getting,
present. Yeah.
yeah, I don't have the chatter in my head of, oh my God, do you want to get that? Thankful Thursday at work, they gave us a cookie yesterday. And I just
What'd you
said,
do?
no, thank you.
Yeah. Not my food.
Not my food.
Not
My,
my food.
my favorite quote, not my food.
Not my food. I love that quote. It's my
Yeah.
quote. Not my food.
Little.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So 2 more questions, then we'll clear up. But so what do you think you were really craving?
Like to find myself, find my true self and peace, like to find what I'm really capable of.
Are you doing that?
Yeah, I did. I can't believe what I'm really truly capable of. I mean, this whole process has given me like a whole huge life filled with so much, filled with peace in my head, able to appreciate relationships, appreciate time with kids, because I don't have all that extra baggage and anxiety of the food. I'm able to fill my life up with so much goodness.
Yeah, I'm with you. So if somebody is listening to this podcast and they are struggling, and to Shira from 12th grade and to little Shira from middle school all the way, what do you want to tell them?
I would just say to someone and myself that you're loved and you deserve to feel that. And just if I can do this and I'm doing it, and it's not always easy, but I can do it, reach out. There's such a big world of support out there where people want to help you, and you might be scared, but you could also save someone's life too.
There's a question on the list that's like, do you have any regrets about breaking up with sugar and healing your relationship with food? But I think it's almost egregious to ask you that. Any regrets?
Just that I didn't read it sooner.
You're a beautiful soul. Gosh, I hope, I mean, you helped me so much today. You helped me so much, brought me to tears. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful to get to be in your life too. So thanks for fighting for your life, Shira. We're all better for it.
For all you've done for me.
You're beautiful. I love you. Thank you.
Yeah.